What if I told you that a country smaller than Los Angeles controls the movement of more global wealth than most G20 nations? Or that a tiny strip of land, home to less than 1 million people, has the most powerful military bases from 5 different superpowers all at once? These aren't accidents. These aren't coincidences. These are strategic positions, and the countries that hold them have figured out something that most nations, most corporations, and most people never learned. Size is not power. Position is power. Today we're going to decode exactly how small countries punch far above their weight, and what that means for your money, your career, and your future. Before we get into the case studies, we need to understand the formula, because this isn't random. Every single small country that punches above its weight has mastered some combination of 3 things. Number 1, geography. Not just where you are on a map, but whether you sit on a choke point, a narrow strait, a canal, an island between 2 competing powers. Geography, if you're positioned right, becomes leverage that nobody can take from you. Number 2, smart policy. Small countries can't afford to be mediocre. They have no margin for error. So the ones that succeed make themselves indispensable as financial hubs, logistics centers, technology corridors, or diplomatic safe zones. They find the gap in the global system and they fill it. And number 3, strategic neutrality. This is the most underrated one. Being useful to all sides, not just one, is what makes small countries untouchable. When you're valuable to everyone, nobody wants to destroy you. That's not weakness, that's genius. Keep this triangle in mind as we go through the 3 case studies today. You'll see it appear every single time. Let's start with Panama, 4 million people, smaller than South Carolina. But this country sits on one of the most valuable pieces of real estate on the entire planet. The Panama Canal connects the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Without it, a ship going from New York to San Francisco has to travel around the entire southern tip of South America, adding 15,000 miles and weeks of travel time. With the canal, it's a straight shot, 51 miles. Done. Think about what that means. Every container ship, every oil tanker, every military vessel that needs to get from one ocean to the other. They all have to pass through Panama, or pay the enormous cost of not doing so. That's why the United States invaded Panama in 1989 and controlled the canal for most of the 20th century. That's why when Panama took back sovereignty, it became one of the most closely watched pieces of land on Earth. And that's why today, Chinese-operated companies manage ports on both ends of the canal, both the Atlantic and the Pacific sides. The US is not happy about this, and that tension is not going away. Panama didn't choose its geography, but it understood the value of it, and built an entire national strategy around it. Shipping, banking, logistics, insurance. Panama City is now one of the top financial centers in Latin America, all because they recognized their choke point and defended it. If this level of analysis brings you value, join the strategy by subscribing to the channel. We decode the global markets using visual economics that the mainstream media often ignores. Let's get back to the breakdown. Now let's talk about Singapore. Because if Panama is about geography, Singapore is about pure policy brilliance. In 1965, Singapore was expelled from Malaysia. It had no natural resources, no farmland, no oil, no military. It was a tiny island, 50 kilometers across, surrounded by larger neighbors. And yet today, Singapore has a higher GDP per capita than the United States. Let that sink in. A country the size of a city, with 5 million people, outperforms the world's largest economy on a per-person basis. How? One man, Lee Kuan Yew, made a deliberate decision. He said, "We cannot compete on resources, so we will compete on quality." He built one of the most efficient, least corrupt, most business-friendly governments in the world. He invested relentlessly in education. He positioned Singapore as the neutral financial and logistics hub of all of Southeast Asia. Singapore sits at the Strait of Malacca, the narrow waterway through which about 40% of global trade passes. Instead of just taxing the ships that go through it, Singapore made itself the place where companies want to be headquartered, where money wants to be stored, where talent wants to live. Today, Singapore is one of the busiest ports in the world. It's a global banking center. It has one of the world's best airlines, best airports, best infrastructure, all from a standing start in 1965 with nothing. That's what happens when a small country decides to compete on intelligence instead of size. And now for the case study that nobody talks about, but probably should. Djibouti. Population 1 million people, located at the entrance to the Red Sea, where the Gulf of Aden meets one of the most trafficked shipping lanes on the planet, the route that connects Asia and Europe through the Suez Canal. Here is the extraordinary fact about Djibouti. It hosts military bases from the United States, China, France, Japan, and Italy, all at the same time. 5 of the world's major powers are all paying rent to the same tiny country simultaneously. The US has its only permanent military base in Africa there. China built its first overseas military base ever in Djibouti. They are literally neighbors on Djiboutian soil. Why? Because whoever controls access to the Red Sea controls a massive percentage of global trade. When the Houthis in Yemen began attacking ships in the Red Sea in 2024, the entire world watched the Suez Canal route go into crisis mode. Trade had to reroute around Africa. Costs exploded. Supply chains broke. Djibouti, sitting right at the entrance to all of that, became even more strategically valuable. Djibouti plays all sides. It collects rent from every superpower. It doesn't pick a winner, and that neutrality, that willingness to be useful to everyone, is what keeps it safe and keeps it prosperous in one of the most unstable regions on Earth. So here's what I want you to take away from Panama, Singapore, and Djibouti. These are not lucky countries. They are not rich because of oil or because of empire. They are powerful because they understood one thing that most large nations and most people never figure out. In a world of competing powers, being small and indispensable beats being large and replaceable, every single time. And that principle applies directly to your life. Think about it. The most valuable people in any economy, the ones who keep their jobs in recessions, the ones who get called back first, the ones who negotiate from strength, are not necessarily the biggest or the loudest. They are the ones who control a choke point that nobody else can replace. What's your geography? What position do you sit in that others can't easily bypass? What's your policy? The unique skill or knowledge you've invested in that makes you indispensable. And what's your neutrality? Your ability to be valuable to multiple employers, multiple clients, multiple markets, so that no single one of them has total control over your future. The small countries that win are teaching us something profound about power in the 21st century. It's not about scale, it's about strategic position. If you found this useful, this is exactly what Strategic Assets is about. We don't give you the news, we give you the map. Next week, we're going deep on the one small country that every superpower is secretly fighting over right now, and most people have never heard of it. You're not going to want to miss that one. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next briefing.